everyone, I'm the Peculiar Pisces and welcome to my channel. Today is Friday, November 28th, 2025. Today is Black Friday, the biggest shopping day in the United States, and let's cross our fingers, I'm not venturing out into that madness today. My husband actually had to work today, so I am home. No running around for me. And, the kids are still off this week. It's been 2 weeks since I filmed. I was not able to film last week because I did end up chaperoning my youngest's field trip. We went to some museum in Denver and there was barely enough time to do anything. And it was like herding cats because I had 6 little girls in my group and they all just wanted to do whatever. So let's jump right into things. So, this is going to be my last update for these particular projects, and I will not be touching them again until next year. And I will probably go more over this in my 2025 whip parade, but for right now, just loosely, I'm keeping everything in the same rotation that they were for this year. So I won't see these again until March. So let's go ahead and get started. Project number 1 is what I've been calling my favorite designer project. And I typically have 3 favorite designers. Like I have one that's my really, really, real favorite designer, but which is Teresa Wensler. And her stuff is so complicated that I can't just continue to do Teresa Wensler's. And so then my next favorite was Mirabilia or Nora Corbett. And then in the past two years now, 2.5 years since I got back into cross stitching, I had discovered Bella Filipina and realized that I really liked their stuff as well. And then in amongst my searching, I found out about Lavender and Lace, who just so happens to be Mirabilia's mother, essentially. So I have gotten several Lavender and Lace, and I do have probably 15 patterns now in my stash. So I was like, I might as well start using this and I can add it into my rotation of favorite designers because I really do like the look of their things too. So my project that I've been working on, I started this last year, and in fact, I can tell you when I started it. I started this April 2024, and the reason that I started it is we were going on a flight back to Pennsylvania where most of my family lives. And I wanted to take a project, but I didn't want to take any of my 4 main projects just in case something happened at the airport. I didn't want to lose my project. I didn't want to get it damaged. I didn't want them to confiscate or throw away my scissors or my needles or anything like that. So I was like, let me take something that I'm not really invested in. And I did take the time and I recharted the paper pattern into Floss Cross so that I could then bring it into Pattern Keeper. And that's where I've been working on it from Pattern Keeper. So the one that I've been working on is the Lady of the Thread. Let me take that out of the bag so it's a little bit easier to see. Is this. And this is very beautiful. Her dress is fantastic looking. But my problem is the dress kind of got lost in amongst all the greens and stuff that's in here. And especially in here, because right in this piece is a lot of the greens that go into her dress. And it was very hard to see where her dress began and ended right in through this section. So when I was recharting it into Floss Cross, I decided to go ahead and do a color conversion. And So that's the colors that I'm changing her dress to. And I'm talking about that because I finally got into the colors so I can actually tell you what they are. But, okay, so this is 14 count. This is the DMC needlework fabric in 14 count. And the color is the 3033, so it's kind of like a stone color. But here has been my progress. I brought the mirror down. I brought her and her skin down. I brought all the shine down. And I've been working in the lace at her neck and started into the sleeve of her dress. So like I said, this is probably as far as I'm going to get it for the end of this month. I'm probably not going to get to touch it again. So when I pick this up back in March, what I plan on doing is focusing then on the flowers that are over here and bringing them down, and then going back over to here and bringing it down as far as I can, and then jumping back into her and working on her dress down and hoping that everything lines up. So I'm so happy with my progress. And because this one is in Pattern Keeper, I do have stats. Okay. So, since I didn't get to film last week, for the week of 11/17 through 11/23, I got to put in 4 hours, 6 minutes, and 55 seconds. And that week, it brought my total time up to 44 hours, 4 minutes, and 41 seconds. And on the 18th of that week, I finished out the color 434. So that is at 0 for that color. That week, I got to do 727 stitches, like for the entire 4 days that I got to work on it. And it brought my stitch count to 5,340 at 30.86% complete. And then this week, 11/24 through 11/30, my kids were off, so I used the Tiny Decisions app. And so I only got to work on this one yesterday. And it was a lot of, we started cooking on Wednesday. We made like the candied yams. We boiled the eggs for the deviled eggs. I made the pumpkin pie, and we made the cheesy cornbread ham bake. And then on Thursday, we made the green bean casserole. I finished up the deviled eggs. And then he smoked the turkey. We did the stuffing and the mashed potatoes and the rolls, like all that stuff last minute. And so in between some of that, I had some time to work on it. And then after our lunch, dinner, supper, we ate about 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish. So it was a very late lunch, but early dinner. My husband calls it supper. I'm not quite sure what time that goes in. Then after that, my husband put on the football game, or a football game. I don't know how many. We don't watch sports typically, and when we do typically watch sports, he watches soccer and occasionally boxing. That's it. So he actually put a football game on, and I just sat there and cross-stitched while the football game was on. I couldn't even tell you who was playing other than the Dallas Cowgirls. So I didn't even see their cheerleaders. So like that's how much I was not paying attention to the game, other than to know that it was the Cowboys playing. So I couldn't even tell you who the other team was. Anyway, I cross stitched for a while, and then we went over to my friend's house for a few hours, and then whenever we came back, I did put a little bit more into it before going to bed last night because I really wanted to get some time on it since I knew that it was the end of the month and I wouldn't see it again until March. So yesterday I got to put in 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 58 seconds, and that then brought my total time to 47 hours, 32 minutes, and 40 seconds. And yesterday I got a whole 566 stitches in. Yes. So that brought my total to 5,906 out of 17,306, and I'm at 34.13%. So, yay. I'm so excited. I got such great progress on this one. And I'm already figuring out where I'm going to head to next year when I pull it out again. Okay, and then, let me not separate this stuff and get them lost. Okay, and then project 2 is the Dutch Beauty Sampler. And this one, I've been working on this every other month. This is the project number 2 slot, which has been a black work or a sampler piece. So this is the sampler piece that I started this year. I am on page D, and I'm right in the middle here. And I actually had to run to the craft store and grab like 2 more threads for this project because I was running low. So I just assumed that I'm going to have to use way more thread than I anticipated. So here has been my progress since the last time I filmed. I think I had like maybe half of this done. So since last time you've seen it, I got in the HVZ initials and the 1790 and then the number 13 here. And I started bringing this border down. I came up here, I worked on the bird, and I'm part of the way into the cherries. Okay, and then so project 2 for the week of 11/17 through 11/23. I got to work on it 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 16 seconds, and it brought my total time to 62 hours, 35 minutes, and 14 seconds. And that week, I got to put in 270 stitches. And then this week, I worked on it on Monday, and I got to put in 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 9 seconds, and it brought my total time to 63 hours, 38 minutes, and 23 seconds. And I got to put in 187 stitches when I did it. So for this month, the amount of stitches that I've done is 1,170 stitches. And my total stitch count is now up to 12,184 stitches. Okay, and then project 3 is my chatelaine. And I will be so sad for this to go away for 3 months because I have been enjoying working on this when I got it. I'm working on the Misty Morning Vineyard. And I'm working from the middle out. Okay, so let me turn this and bring this up. Okay. All right, so since the last time I filmed, I think oh, I don't even know. I can say I finished out this part of the motif. The only things that are missing are some beads and then whatever goes in this corner, which I think is back stitching. And I've started working on the stuff up here. So this is 32 count fabric from Fiberliscious Yummy Fibers. This is called Dreamweavers, and this is an opalescent. I know that you can't really see the opal here in this lighting, and I apologize for how the lighting is in my basement. But, okay, so this one, last week, 11/17 through 11/23, I got to work on it 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 47 seconds. And it brought my total time to 19 hours, 32 minutes, and 4 seconds. And then for this past week, 11/24 through 11/30, I got to work on it on the 26th. And I got to put in 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 34 seconds. And it brought my total time to 20 hours, 46 minutes, and 39 seconds. And then project 4. Is a Plaid Bucilla kit. It is called 4 Seasons. Now, I did use the 28 count ivory even weave, but I hand dyed it myself. And I'm still just up in this spring quadrant. Okay, so here is my progress. Since the last time you saw it, I finished all of the rest of the clouds up and through here. And I brought this border up and I finished this border part here. And I've started filling in the spring part. So this one I will be happy to take a break from. There are some errors in this pattern, and it's in the key. The diamond color, that's the sky color, is white diamonds on this side, but on the key there is no white diamond. There's only the black diamond. And I realized that that's the color that they wanted me to use. And then there's another error too. I can't think of what it is right now. But so I'm almost done with this section. I do need to finish the top and where it says the spring, and then I need to start working on the cherry blossoms that go around the edge. So this one, I have worked on it the week of 11/17 through 11/23. Got to work on it 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 4 seconds. And it brought my total time to 20 hours, 7 seconds, and 7 minutes, and 40 seconds. And then this past week, 11/24 through 11/30, I got to work on it on the 25th. And I got to work on it 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 9 seconds. And that brought my total time to 21 hours, 24 minutes, and 49 seconds. Merlin is getting into stuff over there and it's distracting me. So I apologize for that. Okay, so that brings me to what I'm going to be moving on to in December, which is next week. So, project 1 is The Woodland Fairy by Teresa Wensler. This is my ultimate favorite designer. She is my first. I just fell in love with her stuff. And I love stitching her stuff, but it is very complicated with all the blends and everything that just goes into a Teresa Winslow. But I love her stuff. All right, so here is where I am picking it up. And you cannot see it in this lighting. I can, and it looks gorgeous. But I did start in her wings, and there's Krynic in her wings. Now, it only called for one color of Krynic, but there's a part in her wings that it didn't look right not having Krynic, so I got a different color of Krynic to put in with it, and I think that it looks just gorgeous, which you can't see that sparkle, but I can, and I love it. So this will be my starting point, and I will just continue going up. I'm not going to be doing her skin yet, not for a while. I'm just going to be continuing on with the rest of the scene. And then project number 2 is the blackwork piece that I've been working on. I started this last month, and it's Loose Thread Stitcheries Orchid Blackwork pattern. And I hand dyed this fabric. It goes this way. So when I left it off, I had started doing the back stitching, and I'm going to complete the stitching first and then work on the back stitching. So I can't wait to get back into this. It's been a month, so I'm coming back to it sort of fresh again. And project 3. At this point, this is now my oldest whip, project 3. I started this last year in January, and it's a Heaven and Earth Designs, so that's why it's taking forever. So this is Amy Brown artwork, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and this is called Fay Risque, and I am parking on this. So I am up here in her hair and neck. I don't think her face is on this page. I think it's like this part of her face. So I think the next page over is her face. And I think this is the last set of pages up. I don't know. It's been a while since I got to work on it. So this is now my oldest whip, and it was just started last year in January. That one is in Pattern Keeper, so I do have stats on that, and I will be keeping track of that. Okay. Hey, Merlin. You want to come here? You want to say hi? Merlin's up on the end of the couch looking at what I'm doing. Okay, and then the last project, this will be a new start because I finished the piece that was in this slot last time. This is my Stashbuster piece, and I will be starting this Dimensions kit. It's called the Dolphin's Domain. I'm looking at this like it is a companion piece to the very first cross stitch that I ever did. That is, my mom has it right now. So it's waiting for me either next time I go back to Pennsylvania or they'll ship it to me or something. But this is what I'm going to be starting. I'm going to be using the provided kit. It is a 14 count blue, like a sky blue Aida. Well, no, it's almost like a light blue-green as opposed to a sky blue, but it looks more sky blue in my camera, at least down here in this lighting it does. So I will be starting this. I do love how the dimensions kits give you the floss cards like this and how they're organized. I do really love that. So this will be my last new start of the year. I don't know how many this makes this year. I'll have those statistics when I do my whip parade next month, probably over the Christmas vacation that the kids have. Oh, I didn't point out I got my new glasses, and here's my reading glasses on my glasses chain. I have made a second glasses chain. I'm just not wearing it right now. But yeah. So then I will be starting this for Project 4 in my Stashbuster piece next month, my last new start of the month, or of the year. I will give you the statistics on how many new starts I did whenever I do my whip parade. I have already started getting my 2 notebooks set up for next year. These are notebooks that I made myself, just like this notebook I had, and I used this all through 2024 when I started my Flosstube channel. Or I took what my existing YouTube channel was and decided to focus it on Flosstube. So 2024 is whenever I started, and I was using this notebook through the whole year. And I did have some space in this that I was able to put several of my projects in for this year. But for the most part, most of my projects were in this book, which is one that I bound myself last year. And overall, this book has held up through the year of continuous use. There's a little bit of on the edges, and then some of the paper, it's like wearing off the color on the edges, but it's still in pretty good shape for the constant use that I've given this book throughout the year. And the reason that I had used this last year is because this inside paper was crappy and it wrinkled up while it was drying. And in the back here, the paper was so thin that it started to bust a little bit. And then in one of the areas, here, the glue sort of separated a little bit from this ream of papers. But I'm very pleased with how well this book has held up. However, this book is pretty well filled up and used up. I have no open spaces for new projects, so this book has to retire. So this is going to be my main book for next year, but I'm going to start using it this year for the Dolphins domain. That's the first one that I set up in here. Since I'm starting it next month, I just did the extra month for December and then continued how I normally would for the rest of the book. So this is one of the Coptic journals, meaning that the spine, it's an exposed spine, and so you just see where I did my knotting, and sort of did not really much of a decoration, but sort of on the front. But I used gold metallic DMC embroidery thread to stitch this all together. So I'm curious how the Coptic stitch with the exposed spine is going to hold up to a year of use. And then because I still had all of my projects filled up, I have a second notebook. This one is with scrapbooking paper, like 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper size. And same thing with the back cover. This one's like stars. This one's moon, stars, planetary orbits. It has a nice, cute, like gold leafing on it. The inside is just dark blue. Same thing on the back. So this is a test to see how well this Coptic one holds up. This is a washi paper front. I used the thin crochet thread to stitch it together. And this is a scrapbook paper on the back. And then it has a pretty blue on the front because it matches, like the back pink matches the pink on the front, and the blue inside matches the blue on the front. And then the paper on the inside, I did it in the dots, and it's in a purple to match the front. So I'm going to see how these Coptic ones held up, ones that I made myself. And so these are my project books for 2026. I did say at the beginning, I'm going to continue this rotation, how I did it this year. So in January, I will be back to the Bella Filipina, the sampler, the winter in the Shire, and I forgot what the Stashbuster piece is for January. And so I'm just going to, how I did this rotation this year, it's just going to be the same with the projects. And then for 2027, I will probably switch everything up. But these are now my projects until they are finished. And then I will start picking new projects to fill in the gaps as they come through. So that is everything for my updates. I should see everyone next week. There's nothing going on that I know of for next Friday that would keep me from filming. So I will see everyone then. Have a great week.